Hello and welcome to our series of Node Fireside Chats. I'm here with Jan Lehnardt.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about some of the things that he's been doing at NodeConf EU this year. So Jan, would you like to just introduce yourself and tell us what you've been up to?
Sure thing. I'm a CEO at Neighbourhood.ie software in Berlin. We're a development agency. We help everyone be successful with their JavaScript project. So if you have a JavaScript project that needs success, needs faster success, we're happy to be hired to help you get there. We're known for building tools to make life easier for developers, including Greenkeeper, which a lot of the people here at the conference are using, which I'm happy to see. In general, we have a special focus on working with databases, especially distributed databases, and building applications that work across spotty networks, specifically offline capable mobile apps that we use for industries that aren't well connected yet, or even in humanitarian scenarios in developing countries that may not have the same infrastructure that we can rely on here.
Okay, that's really cool. So you've been around since Node's inception 10 years ago.
Right.
In fact, it was introduced to the world off your laptop, I understand.
Yes, at the time we were starting having JavaScript conferences and we did NodeConf EU in Berlin.
Yeah.
And Ryan came over to introduce Node to the world, and we tried to get him set up to give the talk, and it turns out his laptop couldn't handle whatever video system we had. So we had very quickly to transfer the slides to another machine and have him give it off that, and it happened to mine was around nearby.
Yeah.
So my computer got set up, and then the now legendary introduction to Node.js that received the first standing ovation in a tech conference that I have witnessed. Where it was a bit of a magical moment where it's at the end it's I hope I'm getting support for this, maybe some financial support for getting this off the ground, and everybody in the room just looked at each other, yes, this is going to happen, yes. And we knew something big was happening at the moment. It was quite something. It's a very nice personal connection to be it is of no importance whose computer was it's very unimportant. It's a tiny thing that I can connect myself to the history of Node.js, and I've been following it and using it a lot ever since. So it's very nice to be at the 10-year anniversary and give an interview.
Cool. So in your talk, you spoke about CouchDB.
Right.
And some of the learnings you've had from it. You were very frank in the talk you gave about the very successful things and maybe some of the less successful things that you've been involved with there. So are there any common pitfalls or programming mistakes that you think could be avoided?
There are so many things. I think the most important thing to take away from this and from my talk is that you can't try hard and expect to succeed unless you have failed a bunch. You will not know what will be success unless you know failure, right? You will have to go through really believing in something and trying to sell it to the world or try to convince the world the idea is good and not achieve it to learn the nuances of what it means to bring something new into the world and change people's minds and introduce things to the world. And sometimes your idea, if it's a good idea, it's going to come back and stick around and you'll have more chances of getting that. When I mentioned the work we're doing with offline capable web apps, that started in 2011, we really ramped it up in 2015. We helped out with the Ebola crisis in West Africa then. The story that we came together around offline first there was at that point already nearly 10-year-old story of CouchDB and data synchronization that I've been working on forever, right? But in a new light, in a new context, in a slightly new modern world, I could have reapplied this idea, which reinforces this idea some ideas are good and going to stick around, and you're going to get multiple chances to get them to where they need to be. Some ideas, or most of the ideas that you're having and that you're working on, are probably not good ideas. And you need this visceral feedback of telling people, well, that sounds interesting, but that sounds cool for you, but I'm not interested, right? Yeah. And then you need to learn, okay, what went wrong? What, did I tell people wrong? Is this thing that I'm solving wrong? Sometimes just someone else got in first, or came in just a minute later, and you primed everyone about an idea, and they're like, oh, that's rubbish. And then second person comes in and says, well, that idea, oh yeah, I've heard that before, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of, and you have to be that first person for a while to eventually become that second person. Wait just long enough for ideas to be amenable to be used in to be used in a wider context, so that people adopt them. But yeah, it's tricky.
Okay, cool. So, what do you enjoy about coming to NodeConf EU?
Of course, the venue is fantastic. So for anyone who hasn't gone yet, it's a fantastic space in Kilkenny, Ireland. You should definitely try to attend next time. It is extremely lovely. But more general, something that I've learned from doing JSConf so many years, or 10 years now, as long as Node exists, of course, is the importance of having events like this. And there's broadly speaking 2 types of events or conferences like this. The one is extracting value from the community. So we're all, like many of us are well-paid developers, and in our contract it states, well, you get 2 or 3 conferences a year as like a learning offset that my company can have as like a tax-deductible expense for me. And then there's companies who go and make conferences to just extract all that money. And they are big conferences with very little heart, very little soul. They have all the same people speaking every year. They are not very edgy. They don't have fringe topics. They don't allow for that weird. They're really not very nice. But they extract a lot of money for the organizer of the conferences. Whereas NodeConf is the exact opposite of this, and it comes in the mold of that we try to pioneer with JSConf, is like be a thing that builds the community rather than, or infuses the community with value instead of extracting it. And NodeConf is so important because it gets everyone together who works on Node, who uses Node from all over the world, to get them into the room where we can share our stories, where we can share our learnings, where we can be vulnerable together, so that we as a community can grow together. So like we come together, make something that is worth more than what we had from before the conference. And NodeConf has been doing this for a while. Like I've been to the very first one that was like, I think in the Guinness Storehouse in Dublin. It was very frantic, and the Node community was very new. It was very nice to get all of this together, and it's nice also to see that this has settled a little bit here, and we have nice commercial partners, we have nice community partners, and we can all work on this community together with the thing that we really love. And that's why I think that NodeConf is such a fantastic place to come to, and that's why I love to be here.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Jan. That's brilliant.
Thank you very much.
I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.